So it's a pretty cold one today. Woke up and it was in the 30s, which is pretty sad considering 2 days ago it was in the 70s and we had all those tornadoes and winds and all that. So this is a big change. That being said, I think it's going to cool off here even more so. So I think it's in the 40s right now. We got the wood stove going. Last year was pretty similar to this year. We built a tiny house starting, well, I mean, we put the floor down throughout the summertime, but then we started collecting all the materials. We got all the materials, I think, right around September time frame. So from September to January, I built the tiny house, and it was pretty mild temperatures. I'm not a big fan of the cold, so I remember clearly thinking, here I am building a tiny house in the winter. So when I started, I was in fear that I was going to be working in the snow, but we didn't. I actually remember a big storm came through and ripped it off the tarp. So very similar weather is what we're getting this year. You know, springtime storms, warm weather, and then it started cooling off just about this time last year, January, or well, into December, mid-December, January. And then by February, we had that really cold snap. It got down to below zero. Texas was so cold that the power shut down, and that's the first time it snowed last year, was in February. And so I don't even see a prediction for snow. Well, now tomorrow it's supposed to get down into the 20s. Tomorrow night it's supposed to be 27 degrees, so that's more reasonable for this time of the year. I tell you, today it feels like winter. 60% chance of rain. It drizzled a little bit already, and there's just that cold, moist air. I don't know how to explain it, but it feels like winter. It's just, before when it got cold, it was just that crisp cold. But this is, the breeze is, I don't even understand. The breeze is coming from the south, so it's just very confusing, these weather patterns. That's actually kind of concerning, weather coming from the south. I mean, are we going to get cold temperature tornadoes? Is that even possible? So I'm going to start the generator here again and get old Grumpy started so we can fill the water before it gets cold. And when it's this cold, she needs time to warm up because she just doesn't want to run anymore that well. It's just too hard on her in the cold weather. Yesterday it was in the 70s or 60s or whatever. No, day before yesterday it was in the 70s. Plugged it right in, no problems. But in this cold weather, she just doesn't want to go anymore. I remember 3 years ago, we came to Missouri. We're still nomads. We were traveling around our camper. Carolyn's daughter was sick, and we were staying at a friend's house in their driveway, and it snowed before Thanksgiving. Very odd. I don't even recall ever it snowing before Thanksgiving. And the reason I remember that is because I lived in Iowa for a short period of time, and it snowed on my birthday in October. And I was thinking, well, the only time I've ever seen a snow in between my birthday and Thanksgiving was when I was in Iowa. So it's a very memorable time for me. As a matter of fact, the header on my channel, if you look at the header, is from that period when it snowed back then. Let's see if we can get it to go. Now sometimes it'll go and then die on me. So yeah, it died, so it doesn't want to go. I'll have to give it another shot. Okay, let's see if it stays running now. I'll start to walk up there real slow in case it decides to die. I'm not all the way up there before it shuts off. So the weather pattern in my mind is really weird, obviously. I think a lot of people would agree that the weather pattern is very strange. Here's the thing, is I don't like winter. But I have been looking forward to winter this year. Now that the tiny house is built, little cabin in the woods, I was really looking forward to spending time looking at the snow in the woods. I know we got to last year, but last year it was pretty difficult because we had so much wet firewood that I was fighting with the wood stove all the time. It was not stressful, that's not the right word, but it was definitely concerning that we were going to run out of firewood, usable firewood. We actually bought some, hoping it was dry, and it wasn't. The guy said, oh yeah, it's been laying out there for 2 years, it's dry. It's dry this year, but not, it wasn't dry last year. That's just something you got to expect. This, you buy firewood, these professionals, I don't even know if you want to call them professionals, they're just guys that want to sell some firewood. You know, they cut a tree down and they want to get it sold. They don't want it sitting around for a year. So I even went to a guy's house and he swore up and down his wood was dry. And I don't even know why they would lie to you. They tell you it's dry, it's been sitting here for 2 years. There was no way that guy's wood was sitting for 2 years. No way. And that kind of reminds me, I get comments all the time. I just got a comment, that's why it reminded me. Just today, talking about firewood again, and it just amazes me where these comments come from. As many videos as I make about firewood, wood stoves in the wintertime, and people tell me, oh, you make too many firewood videos. Yeah, and I get these comments. It could be a troll. These trolls sometimes have hundreds of accounts, and so they go to different accounts and they ask these questions that's been answered, I don't know. But regardless, it was asked, or it wasn't even asked, it's told, you do it this way. But the guy says, why don't you just bring your firewood inside and let it dry? Now, I've talked about dryness of firewood, like I said, lots of times. The firewood has to be 20% or less. So when you split it, the inside has to be 20% moisture content or less. It can't be wet, it can't be green is a better way to put it. So when you cut a tree down, it's you know, 30-40% moisture content. You let it dry for a year, depending on the breed of tree. An oak tree takes a year to 2 years to dry. And they say, bring it inside. But that has no effect on it. I mean, if you had a kill dry with no moisture in there, and you took out all the humidity, when it was designed to dry, yeah, they do build those. Those are pretty expensive. But sending it inside is not going to dry it. I know what they're saying is, when I was young and it would rain or snow, I'd bring it inside and in a couple of days it'd be all dry. Well, when you were young, they also didn't have moisture detectors or wood stoves that had to be redesigned in 2014 because they outlawed the stoves that you grew up with. You were trying to just get the water off of it. Yeah, you can bring it in and it'll dry. We put it on the porch. But the humidity level is no different in the house than it is outside. You don't have the blowers and, you know, all the equipment. It's just, you're not going to get that green to dry. There's just no way to trick Mother Nature. The other thing that seems to surprise me with this question is bring it in the house. You know, let it sit there for a few days. My channel is called Little House Off Grid. My house is just a little bit bigger than a standard bedroom. Where am I going to put it? So these questions always make me wonder the validity of the question. So the other day I was making a video. I was showing you that I was splitting the wood and checking it to see if it had moisture in it. Now, there was quite a bit of information. I'll put a link to that video at the end of this video. There'll be a little box on the screen so you can see it to know about bark and you know, the split wood does better than others. But to just give you a brief overview again, you can tell the difference between dry wood and green wood. So right here, and this was cut and split late summer, early fall, late summer. And you see it's nice tan color, very green. It's just green. But then when I switch it to the other side, you can see all the gray. This is gray. That's sat here for over a year. As a matter of fact, I found right here, this wood right here in this area is 15%. I've been pulling from here. You can see I got a little gap there. So this will probably get me through February. But you can see it's all gray and cracking, lots of cracks in it. That's dry wood. That's what you want. You're not going to get that from sitting in the house for a couple of days. You're not going to replace a year's worth of drying in a couple days. It's just not going to work. This is a whole different setup. And for some reason, I am just not convincing people that you can do this. I've done it before. End of story. There's just no way to explain this other than I have done it this last year. I tried everything. We had a chimney fire because we were burning wet wood. We knew it was going to happen eventually. We had to clean it right in the middle of the winter time. This year we're burning dry wood. There's no creosote on that chimney. Right now there is a fire in it right now, and you can't see any smoke coming out of that. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. You can see the vapors, the gas, and how it kind of wiggles the air around it. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but it's kind of a gassy, invisible gas thing. You can kind of see it. That's all I see coming out of there. That's what you want to see. If you got smoke coming out of there, your wood's too wet. It's not burning efficiently, and you're gonna get creosote in there, and you're gonna get chimney fire. I put the wood on top of the stove. I did everything people were telling me to do, and it just wasn't working. If you get one of these new wood stoves, you cut it last year, burn it this year, or cut it this year, burn it next year. You can't trick it. You're not gonna trick it. If I could have found somebody who would have even sold me firewood for $400 a cord, that would have been double the price, I would have bought it. That's how bad it was. I had to spend extra money to have dry firewood last year. It was just too dangerous. It was too hard to light. It was just miserable. So right now I'm filling the water tank before it freezes tomorrow. The water from the well will increase the temperature of my box here probably to 55 degrees. Right now it's right at 48 degrees in here, and it'll stay that way for days because we're using about 100 gallons in 2 days. So putting 100 gallons back in warms the tank back up pretty well with the well water. Well water's 55, 60 degrees, plus the heat that I'm heating it with the house temperature. We got down to 22 degrees the other day, briefly, and we had no problems with this. It didn't change temperature in here at all. I'm gonna put a video link right here telling you how to measure your firewood and look at it. Make sure it's dry. I'd appreciate if you click it. It helps this channel grow. So I hope I can inspire you to thoroughly research this firewood thing. Don't do what Grandma and Grandpa did. Thanks for watching.